Welcome back to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The flags are flying, a little bit of a breeze here. Thanks for coming back and joining us on our global webcast for the Pirelli World Challenge. In round 11 of the GTS Championship is about to commence at this absolutely phenomenal facility. A warm day, humid more than it is warm almost. Temperatures in the low 80s, but it is toasty out there. Nope, that is not the Red Dragon for GT. That is the Sin R1 GT4 for GTS, as we are getting set to go on that one. And that is the pole sitter, Jade Buford, in that Racer's Edge machine, putting together another one, his third pole of the season. And looking forward to this race unfolding. Brett Sandberg qualified second. That is one of the KTM crossbows from Ansa Motorsports. Martin Barkey had a tremendous run in qualifying in the Mantella Autosport MBRP Sport Lab X crossbow. Scott Dullahite, fighting an illness, manages to put his SDR, that Scott Dullahite Racing Lotus Evora, up into fourth. Scott Heckert in the Team Sin entry is fifth. Rookie George Kurtz, a tremendous lap in qualifying. We'll talk more about him in just a minute. But I think the big story here, Cal, has to be your point leader, Lawson Aschenbach, mired in seventh.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long day for him. So many times this year we've seen him not necessarily have the fastest car, but turn it into a victory by maintaining track position. He doesn't have track position right now, so he's got a lot of work to do. And as we can see, Road America with these high-speed sections is all about, really getting to the front. Otherwise, if you don't have the straightaway speed, how do you make those moves?
It's a very good point, and it was interesting. It looked right near the end of the qualifying session that it would be an all-crossbow front row, and then Buford just popped in a tremendous lap in that Sin, and that's the SIN R1 GT4. And it's been interesting. We've talked about it all season long, balancing the GTS-regulated cars, the GT4 cars, and the power plants. The approach to the cars are also hugely different. It's a tough one to go with, and to me, I'm almost looking at it, I'm wondering if a guy named Dullahite might not be in the right spot here.
Yeah, no, I think I'm actually surprised. I mean, for a moment there, right towards the end of qualifying, it looked like it was going to be crossbows sweeping the front row.
Absolutely.
Which, if coming into this race, I said, no way.
No way, not
so
a chance.
You never know with this class this year what to expect, and I think for Brett Sandberg, he wanted those 7 points. He's trying to scramble back to the front of this championship. He sits 49 points behind Lawson Aschenbach right now, and coming off that disappointment at Line Rock where he finally got to the car to the front, made that little mistake. It affected Lawson's race, but it certainly affected Sandberg more in the points because of the swing there that day. So those 7 points were critical, but he starts from the outside of the front row. He's got a good race car, but for Lawson, it's all about what he can do on this opening lap, I think.
Well, that's a very good point. Of all the places that you would have thought the crossbow with that little 2-liter Audi engine was not going to be on a front row, this would be the one. And yet the guy you would have figured would have played strongly into that is mired back in the order just a little bit. George Kurtz, we talked about, qualified 6th, has come out of nowhere. The 04 entry, the CrowdStrike, the Racers Group, Aston Martin Racing Machine, and has been just superb in what he's been able to do here, and qualifies in 6th. Going to be fun to watch how that plays out. And we are ready for this field to go underway. The command has just been given, and there you see the thumbs up as the field comes to life. This is the first of a doubleheader, as always, in GTS, and as that Cadillac ATS VR pace car makes its move onto the track, do keep in mind that this one will be a rolling start, so they won't come around, stop, and queue up for a standing start. They'll do one pace lap, and then we will go racing for 50 minutes here as this field makes its way out. And so he is on the track. And there is our Cadillac Escalade, our official safety vehicle. And always appreciate what Cadillac does in helping us in terms of their partnership with the pace car and the safety vehicle and the great safety specialists on board. And we hope they get to just relax, sit there, enjoy the race. That's what we want to see. But the field now out and around this track. And I'll tell you, the corners at this place, every one of them are absolutely intense, fast for most part. And the ones that aren't fast are incredibly technical and tricky, downhill braking zones. It just comes at you, and the drivers, they just grin, don't they?
They do. Everyone loves it here. The fans love to be here. It's a great ambience around the whole facility, Elkhart Lake itself, the racetrack, the viewing areas. And the racetrack, it just throws so much at you. We talk about the high-speed sections, the high-speed corners, the medium-speed stuff, getting the power down. Even turn 3 that they just came through there, you're in that corner for quite a long time. You're not just turning and releasing the steering and off you go again. It's really important. And sometimes when you look at your laps, like, wow, I'm a second off the pace. Well, it's so easy to do because you're sitting in the corner for so long in this racetrack.
And unfortunately, just want to let everybody know, Jack Roush not going to be able to make the start. He has had one of those absolutely awful weekends. Had a problem in the very first test session, came out with his normal car, and on sticker tires, they didn't have a lot of grip, hit a little bit of moisture, and had an off. They rushed in a car, the one that Dean Martin used to run in the championship. He went out and got set to get ready for the practice session before qualifying, went into the same turn 1 area, and this time he had a brake rotor fail and took him straight off, and they just haven't been able to get it fixed. So he's done for the weekend. That's a shame when you consider how quick he was at St. Pete earlier in the season, and to not even have him on the grid here, that's mega frustration to get.
It really is, and he's a pleasure to have in our paddock. He's a great competitor. He comes from a very competitive racing family, of course, with the success of his father and the whole organization there, but it's just not been his year. But he's taken it in his stride, and he said, we'll come back and fight another day.
Saw a shot there, Mark Clennon, who didn't get out in qualifying either. They had a mechanical issue. They said it was a clutch. They actually went through and did the whole gearbox and clutch, replaced it. And he said that the car was really quick, and I was looking forward to qualifying, and then we had the problem. So he might be fun to watch coming up through the pack. A couple other guys, Cal, did have some niggling issues that really messed up their qualifying. We know Max Riddle has been very quick in that Adobe Road Winery and LaSalle Solutions Racers Group Aston Martin. They had a cam problem in that and just had no pace in qualifying. He should be fun.
Yeah, because he was fast in practice
Yes,
here yesterday, so expect more from that car to come through the pack. The Aston Martin should show well here, but it's a new day. It's a new era in GTS competition. Talking to Kevin Buckler from TRG, he said this car should be, leading everyone, and we're going up against these GT4 cars. We didn't expect this, but, this is what's exciting about it. You come to a track where who would have, like we just said, who would believe the Crossbows would be fighting it out for pole position?
Well, and it's, really the GTS class is where the GT class was 3 years ago with, starting to bring in the GT3 cars at the time, and look where it's gone. So I don't see any reason to expect that this won't end up being something very special, and it's already produced some of the best racing we have in the Pirelli World Challenge here. There you see lights out on the pace car into our VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. Pace car makes a little bit of an escape, and once they exit 14, they're in that zone, and it's down to our pole sitter, Buford, and the starter to get this one going. And boy, Mark Clennon is going to be saying, Ziegler, let's go. Get up and join the back of this. I've got a fast race car here. And now things settle, and up the hill we go. Who will it be down into turn 1, and what kind of a launch will Lawson Aschenbach get? You see him in that row way back, and Lawson has to actually make a little defensive move on Derek DeBoer.
Yeah, Derek, I'm sure if he over-anticipated the green flag, because now it flies. He was looking for a move there. Lawson is immediately into defense mode. So you see Heckert there look to the inside. Good clean start by a pole sitter, but here comes Sandberg. Typically, it takes a little bit of time for that crossbow to come to life and get tire temperature. He's making moves early.
Well, he wants points after what's been going on for him this year with the pace they've had, and he finally realizes I'm going to really be in trouble if I just park around the outside like that. And there you see the 0-4. I think George Kurtz just learned a little bit of a lesson on track placement up against some serious pros here. He got trapped outside of 3, and it cost him. And Aschenbach looks like he's at least come up into 5th. And again, DeBoer shows the nose on him, and Lawson had it covered. And now down to the inside. That's going to be awfully close. Oh, the number 13. Sandberg has dropped way
a ton
back.
Of ground there. It must have happened out of turn 3 because he was vying for the lead, and suddenly he's deep in the pack there.
Boy, and everybody just fighting for every ounce of track space they can. There's the 0-7 of Riddle, who had that problem in the early going. There's the 54. Heckert got absolutely caught out. He was 5th, and he got into a squeeze play, Cal, and dropped way back.
The chase, arms and elbows there down into the brake zone for turn 8. Anthony Mantella making a move to the outside of Tony Gagels.
Is that Lawson Aschenbach?
He is.
This is mega in terms of the points. Lawson just trying to keep enough speed going and not get stuck in the gravel. Oh, boy.
Did he get a little elbow there? It's a strange place for the racetrack to be off. Or has he got a cut down tire? Yes, he's
broken
got some
suspension.
Yeah, there's damage there to that left rear corner.
Oh my goodness,
this is huge. Came into this race with a 49-point lead, and suddenly it's not just about the position he's in now. Can they get that car fixed to do 50% of the distance? He's got to be careful. He doesn't want to throw this thing at the fence and do further damage. Just get it back to the pit lane. Let your crew go to work. They're a 4-time champ.
Yeah, they know the drill, but boy, this is going to be awfully tough, as you said, to get that 50% distance. And you've got a race tomorrow as well, so it's going to be fascinating. But Barkey taking advantage of opportunity here, and Martin Barkey is now running in second spot as they climb the hill, chasing Jade Buford, watching this entire field stream by. Dullahite now up into third. That's that black and gold Lotus, and behind him is Derek DeBoer. And we saw DeBoer and Austin were in a very close concert a number of times here. We'll see what happens. Look at Dullahite, wants to get by Barkey. And Barkey just sort of moved over, dissuaded him just a little bit. But Sandberg back to fifth.
Tell you what, Martin Barkey, I think he's most improved driver this year. He's really coming into form now. He's really comfortable with this crossbow. When you get that confidence, that shows in lap time as well.
Boy, Dullahite looking for them. He may have the move here to the inside of Barkey now. Boy, he just jinxed suddenly, and Barkey, there's nothing he can do. Barkey now going to try and out-deep him into turn 5, and does it.
Looking at Sandberg, he seems to be going backwards on the straightaways, Greg. So we saw him suddenly further back in the pack, and Nate Stacey was all over him in the run down to our Stop Tech break zone.
All right, while it's settled here for just a minute, our tremendous video crew has found what may have happened to Lawson Aschenbach.
Take a look here. Look up ahead. He's already well wide. That's really strange.
I wonder if there was a tap somewhere before that. It just suddenly broke.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be over in that area of the racetrack unless something was amiss. So I got a feeling that something had broken and sent him over in that direction.
Well, he's made it down into pit lane. That's the good news. Now, what can Ray Sorensen and that Black Dog crew work in terms of some magic to get him out and get some laps in and be able to salvage some sort of points?
That's going to be key to the day. Look at this battle going on. Sandberg, now he's got straightaway speed there. It seems like on the run down to turn 5 on that previous run, he was losing ground to Nate Stacey in a big way. So again, got to have another look here.
So there's Sandberg. You're watching that.
But remember, he was second going into turn 3, and suddenly he's deep in the pack.
Is this it?
No.
I don't think so.
I was looking for contact when you were the Camaro of Aschenbach.
And there's Heckert, just totally overshot turn 5, and that cost him huge. So, it's curiouser and curiouser, as the rabbit said.
Got a reset here. Here they come again across the stripe. Buford continues to lead. Dullahite gets another run on Barkey. Can he make the move stick this time?
Boy, Dullahite's got speed, no question about it, but Barkey's got that lightweight car. Is so good on the brakes, but this time Dullahite just says, denied, and I'm coming through. And he's glued already to the back of Buford.
I think Dullahite's maybe one of the cleanest drivers in the championship, so he doesn't force the issue of power chase. Not the day we expected for him.
Well, he's been dancing sideways, all kinds of things. That's the problem. You just can't stop in these gravel traps.
Got to keep it rolling. Well, this might bring out a caution, Greg.
It certainly might. Meanwhile, we understand Jeff Lepper might have an update on Lawson. Let's go back and see what may have happened here. Ooh.
If there's a touch or not.
Yeah.
Anthony and Mantella in close proximity, but unless the touch had already happened, he sent Parker on his way.
And you wonder when he snapped around if he locked up and stalled it, and then he had no choice but to stop because he had no momentum. And Riddle, more problems after struggling in qualifying, was going awfully quickly in the race, and now down into the pits.
I have to guess maybe it's the same issue they had in qualifying, the cam sensor.
And we are full course caution, by the way. So there's that reset we were talking about here that might not be such a bad thing. And this might be exactly, too, I think, what Brett Sandberg needs. If he just got kind of muscled out of the way, we have not seen yet what happened to him. And it had to have come exiting turn 3. And it looked like he had just tucked back in and was going to make the run out.
Yeah, we did the camera cut there, and we lost sight of Sandberg, but suddenly he dropped 4 or 5 places.
That's not a good sign, as young Max Riddle out of the car. Had a weekend for the ages at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Had a win in the GTS category, and then he and Chris Wilson won both of the Sprint X debut rounds. But this weekend not quite going the same way for the very fleet Canadian. And they're hooked up in the back of our Performance Motorsports Group, Janetta of Parker Chase.
Max Riddle, short day for that group. Kevin Buckler and his crew will go to work overnight. That's the good and the bad news. It's going to hurt him in terms of laying down a fast lap for the race for the grid position set by today's fastest laps, but he does have a chance to come back and try and salvage something from the weekend.
Yeah, big frustration there. And there's a teammate to Parker Chase, the number 29 of Harry Gottsacker. And on that opening lap, Cal, he made up 6 spots. And that's going to give him the Optima Batteries Best Start Award. He lost a few of them again on the next couple laps, but it was a great opening lap sequence.
Did he just dodge a bullet here and stay on the lead lap?
He may have. That would be huge, wouldn't it?
Another caution, he can suddenly be back in the fight.
He did. If scoring is right, the rest of the field has completed 3. He got out in front, so he'll complete 3.
Benefit of a 4-mile track.
Absolutely. He needs to drive like the wind right now under this caution to make sure he's at the back of this pack when they go green. But what an opportunity.
Everyone now is just assessing what sort of car they got underneath them. They've seen some moves from some of the other players around them.
Right.
There you see some of the drivers weaving around. It's more to keep the tires clean than really generate any heat.
And get a report from race control. Green this time by. So once all they had to do was get Parker out of the gravel and get him going. Wasn't a lot to clean up at that point.
Certainly
and
helping Lawson
40 minutes to go yet.
Helping Lawson Aschenbach a little bit. He's really out of the mix, and he's obviously going laps down, but not as many. Yeah, I don't think there was any touch there. I think Parker's car is just not working like you'd like to see it here today.
And we just got an update from the corner that said, nope, by himself. But it was twitchy. We saw him lose coming into turn 8 and almost drop a tire and the like.
Could have felt the pressure from behind and just took the braking in really deep. And if the brake bias is a bit off, you got too much rear brake, because you kind of lose the rear end as you're turning in there.
And there he is, just doing everything he can to get as close to the back of this field as possible by the time we go back to green. A look at that very tricky carousel turn, and that's where the pace car is working its way through right now.
I'm not sure that Parker Chase is going to catch this group up.
He's got a lot of ground to cover. The
downside
of a long
the downside
track.
of a 4-mile track.
And I'm waiting to see what Mark Clennan's going to be able to do here, because he was quick. He just, I think he was watching everything that was going on in front of him and said, I'm not sure I want a piece of that right at the moment here.
Fastest lap of the race right now, I think, is Ernie Francis Jr. 20.7. Sits in the 7th spot, so that would be a huge day for him if he can grab the pole for tomorrow. But a lot of minutes left in this race for guys to lay down fast laps.
And we just got the official word that the 07 of Max Riddle has retired mechanical. So not sure exactly what the issue is. We get a report that there's a problem with radio communication in Nate Stacy. So the 16-year-old sitting in 6th is sort of orbiting by himself out there at this stage. You just saw Parker Chase down into the pits, and I think that's a smart move. Just take a look at the car, make sure nothing's wrong, and then get out before this field comes by and gets back to racing. Lights out on the Cadillac, and it has set sail to open the margin up into our VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone, and Jade Buford in the Sin R1 GT4, Scott Dolehite in the Lotus, Martin Barkey in the Crossbow, Derek DeBoer in the Aston Martin, and then Brett Sandberg, who's got now a huge opportunity to make up some points. And he wants it to go green the rest of the way, so some of these other cars use some tire up. That's interesting. Brett just moved way over to the inside. I think the green had already come out, so it wasn't like he had done that incorrectly. But look at DeBoer. Derek DeBoer has been just monster aggressive on these restarts. Now, can Barkey carry it in a little bit deeper? The lighter car does exactly that.
He does. Sandberg holds off Nate Stacey. But again, I'm not sure if it's a gearbox issue or something with Sandberg, but he's definitely losing pace right in the middle of some of these straightaways.
Yeah, he's got a problem. We just don't have a clue at this stage what it is. And you talked about Ernie Francis. Yeah, this kid, he's won a championship. He's been very quick. He's a multiple-time Trans Am 2 category champion. And he had a little problem. He said they went out for qualifying, and the synchro to get the gearbox into third as DeBoer this time makes the move, and Barkey got crossed up. But Ernie said as he gets down to the inside of Nate Stacey, he said, I had no third gear for qualifying. He said, I think we're going to be able to move up a little bit in the race. And boy, has he.
He's been pretty prophetic on that. He's got a fast race car underneath him. The Aston Martins are looking strong here today, though. Derek DeBoer, a great move on Barkey, moves up into the third spot. Dollar Heights Lotus, though, looks really strong here today.
And George Kurt settles in behind Ernie Francis in that crouch strike 0-4 you see right there, turning into 8.
Heckert now trying to recover from that bad first lap of the race. Sat on the pole with about 5 minutes to go here yesterday and suddenly got demoted a little bit, and then a bad first lap. Suddenly he's in the middle of the pack fighting hard. Mantella putting the pressure on the Sin right now.
It's that Gulf liveried Mantella Autosport. KTM Crossbow. Behind him, Gottsacker.
Good to see big smiles on the face of Anthony Mantella and Martin Barkey. They're really enjoying this program. And they're gaining confidence week in, week out, and they're starting to develop a notebook in terms of what the car likes on these circuits that we run on as well.
Through Canada corner, there's a look at Tony Gaples. That's
Clennon.
teammate Clennon deep.
Really wide. Look at Scott Dollarhite starting to put the pressure on Sandberg. There's a real yin and yang to his car's performance right now. I don't understand why there's such discrepancy lap to lap. He's got some kind of intermittent issue.
I wonder if he's maybe having a problem with a specific gear as well, and so you hit that moment and suddenly you don't have anything and you get through it. I don't know.
Dollarhite pulling the draft big time, but it looks pretty even here along the front straightaway. Just got to be patient here. He'll be excited here, looking for his first win in World Challenge competition.
You know, Derek DeBoer, when we talked to him during the autograph session for these drivers, he said we've got an opportunity here. He really liked what this car might just be able to do here on this track. And he's been aggressive to make sure he stays right in that third spot.
He's leaning on it.
Boy,
he's nearly leaning on it. Coming down into turn 3 there. He's doing a great job for a guy who doesn't run full time. Always working hard with Kevin Butler to develop business partnerships that allow these guys. Oh, Sandberg really deep on the brakes. Nearly got into the back of Barkey there. Had to take it to the outside lane and lost a lot of ground.
Stacey right now attacking as they get up to turn 6, not able to get through. But yeah, he just almost ran up the back of Barkey.
Lucky that Barkey turned in, otherwise there would have been nowhere for him to go.
You know, you were talking to Derek DeBoer, going to watch Barkey here and see if he can do anything. DeBoer said he and Jason Alexandrides, who they've been once running the first race, the other the second race of the weekend, and he said the problem is we're getting to tracks that we don't know that well. And he said, so we talked about it and we said, you know what? I'm going to run both of the races here so I get track knowledge. Jason will run both of the races at Mid-Ohio. Still the same number of races, but I think it gives him a lot better opportunity.
I think it's a smart thing to do. You're right. I mean, track time is so valuable, and if you're having to compromise that by sharing the car, it's just going to put you further and further behind. So I think it's a wise move, and it's shown in the performance here this weekend.
I'll tell you, it didn't take Sandberg very long right now, did it, to run right back up to Barkey here. So that car's got speed. It just seems erratic.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he can just settle down here, just lay down some consistent laps, he's got the pace to maybe get it to the front here this afternoon, but time is winding down. Still 34 minutes remaining, but he just needs to get into a bit of a groove, try and clear these two cars in front of him, and then chase down the leaders.
Look at this little scrap. This has been going on for a while, hasn't it here? Heckert under attack from Mantella, and Harry Gottsacker, the young man, has come right up on their 6 as well. This is a great 3-car scrap. Gottsacker trying to get down to the inside of Mantella.
Yeah, that Ginetta may have a little bit more straightaway speed than the Crossbow. Let's see what happens as they get to the brakes. Pretty even there. Not much between them, actually. Talk about the BOP. It's hard to imagine they got us so right here at a track like Road America.
And George Kurtz has made the pass and gone around Ernie Francis Jr. I'll tell you, what a great story he is. A guy who doesn't have much pro racing experience at all, some club racing.
Getting back to that fast lap, Mark, that was held by Ernie Francis earlier in the race, Greg. Now it's held by Jade Buford. It got down in the 20 range, 220.58. Dollarhide at 220.8. Francis is 220.7. Still a fast lap, top 3 possibly.
We talked to Scott Dollarhead a bit earlier. He was talking about, what they've had to do to figure out that loose condition. It was a snap oversteer, which is awful at a track like this. And they got that. So they said it actually ended up being in the front end of the car where they had to actually make the fix. But the other side of it was he has not been a healthy guy. A nasty chest cold. He said his fever actually broke last night. And he said, which is great. I'm breathing a little better. He said, but I'm still coughing a lot, which doesn't help when you're inside of a car doing battle. But he said, I at least feel better. And you know what? The adrenaline and the shot at a win, that also worked magic.
Yeah, and it would be so cool because that's a team that had to dig really deep after that huge incident that they had at Motorsport to work that hard and get the car out on track at Lime Rock Park. And it's great to see them competing for the whole championship now.
And, boy, Sandberg. It's really
hot
hot
again. Getting a little flutter there in the aero effect from Barkey in front of him there as we go down through the high-speed section.
In Canada corner. See one of the new big screens they've installed here at Road America. Lots of great developments here in terms of the physical plant itself. But Sandberg there's Stacy again, just running by himself on the track and still no radio communication. Sandberg just trying to carry every inch of pace he possibly can in that run up the hill.
Well, Crossbow's a very lightweight car, so you'd think in terms of tire degradation over the course of this 50-minute race, they should be in pretty good shape. So the pack may come back to them a little bit.
Stacy there in 5th. Then behind him is that battle, George Kurtz, Ernie Francis, and Courtney now starting to become a player in that as well. This is a home track for Jeff out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
It's always worth a couple of tenths.
Yes, certainly.
The fan support family here. Ernie Francis really working it hard there. You can see the hands on the wheel. He's got fast hands, that young man.
He does indeed. Look at Heckert now has been able to gap Mantell and Gottsacker. I think it's because they got in their own little battle, and that's allowed Heckert to put his head down. And now right on the back end. And Derek DeBoer coming from Hubertus, Wisconsin, to try and make that pass, and he may have pulled it off, Cal.
He did. It was a beautiful move, and Scott Dollarhide could see him coming and wisely made room for him. But a very brave move. He'd been deep in there before. That is cool stuff. And again, Scott Dollarhide showcasing what a clean driver he is. He didn't close the door. There was no trading of paint there.
And maybe DeBoer foreshadowed that when he came by start-finish last time, Cal. Fast lap of the race at a 2:20 flat.
Yeah, he's gaining confidence by the lap. I could see him very deep on the brakes into turn 1. The car was twitching. And Podium would probably have been very satisfied when he woke up this morning. But right now, maybe a win. He can chase down Jade Buford.
Yeah, and look at this. Martin Barkey now senses an opportunity. And he gets a nice strong run. Thought about trying something. Don't want to do it going into the kink.
Sandberg there, a great run through the kink. He's got a bit of a run on Barkey. Can he make a move down into Canada corner? Tricky braking zone.
Barkey has to be a little bit careful because you can put the car somewhere, but you can't move in reaction to another driver behind you.
Now he's learning this year, and he'll admit that. He said, I'm learning racecraft. They're learning the way with that car, but they're also learning racecraft by being in the thick of this front battle on a more regular occasion.
And there's that other option, isn't it? Saying, no, I wasn't worried about him. I thought I had a run at Dollarhide.
Well, they're fine. You know, just pick your line, be proactive in terms of if you're going to adjust your line, do it first. Don't react to the guy making a move behind you.
Boy, and there again suddenly.
Yes, it's really bizarre.
Oh, look at this. Down to the inside. DeBoer, big wiggle on the brakes.
Superb.
Made it stick.
Kevin Buckler said this car should be good here. They are expecting great things. Very disappointed with qualifying, but look at this. Dollarhide now trying to take advantage of Jake Buford, who didn't get through turn 1 quite as cleanly as normal.
Now, does Dollarhide close enough in terms of a little bit of a toe here, a little bit of some help to be able to make something happen down into turn 5. He sure looks close enough, Cal.
Well, I think if he's going to make a move for a win of this race, he's going to have to start to get a bit more aggressive. I think he's given everyone a bit too much room on the racetrack. I think it's just his personality, but he's doing a great job. I think sometimes you've got to be a bit more evil than that.
Through 6. Awfully tricky corner, that one. Down through 7.
Lotus is able to use that inside curb a little bit there in 7, which is nice. Good compliance there with the suspension wheel and working hard with the Olin shock package. Made some adjustments this weekend. They're having traction issues, then they suddenly got into that snap oversteer that you discussed, Greg, but certainly the balance came good in qualifying. Looks good here today in the race.
Just a couple different lines there that you're seeing some of the different packages work through, but this is, I mean, the blanket covers these top 5. This is just superb stuff into the kink. It's a whole different deal turning into the kink flat chat when you're in the middle of this intense a pack of cars, isn't it?
Well, it's such a high-speed corner. If someone does something a little bit different in front of you, you have to give it a big lift. Suddenly it's pushing all the way to the front of the car and you can have a big moment.
Through Canada as one once again.
Top 4 different manufacturers right now. This is what GTS has been all about this year, this diversity of the brands. Oh, Derek is pushing hard. That was almost a mistake there. That little compression there when you get in really deep, it kind of unloads the car a little bit.
That car is dancing everywhere. He is on the absolute edge here. And let's see, looking for the move by Sandberg.
Sandberg's hanging with him this lap. It just seems to be inconsistent in terms of the performance down the straightaways with his machine today.
We're looking at Heckert just turned fast lap of the race now at a 2:19.4.
As we said, he looked really strong in qualifying, so he's just got mired in the pack here, so he hasn't been able to really showcase the potential in speed.
Here's this moment by DeBoer again. Right.
Gets in really deep there, and as he releases the brakes. Rear end tried to snap, but he kept it together nicely and actually got a good clean exit on the front straightaway. Didn't really hurt him that badly.
Here we go, down into turn 5. Nobody really close enough this time to try and make something aggressive happen. And watching for Nate Stacey to see whether he's able to get back to the back of this group.
Seems to be about half a second off of the ultimate pace, but he's doing a nice job. And he's another young man who Dean Martin said he's got all of the skill set. We just got to get him to manage his races a little bit better, and we can start to see some great results.
And by the way, Francis now has gone around George Kurtz. Kurtz either had some sort of an issue or he just got freight trained a little bit because he's now dropped to 12th. So Francis now in 7th, Courtney up into 8th, Heckert 9th, and Mantella completing the top 10. And here's Gottsacker having a great battle with Tony Gaples, and he's gone through. That's for 13th.
Tony Gaples resides down in Chicago. This is his local track. What a performance that team has put on over the last 3 or 4 years in GTS competition. 3 straight championships, 2 with Lawson, 1 with Michael Cooper last year, and Lawson leads right now. But, oh, look at this.
What a move.
Flares out from Martin Barkey and makes it stick to the inside.
But Dullahite counters.
That was
and
awesome.
Here comes, look at this, as Sandberg's going to try and just stuff it up the
that's
inside
a dodgy
in Billy
move.
Mitchell.
That's a dodgy move to stick it on the inside there that late. Thinks better of it, but that was a superb move by Martin Barkey.
Yeah, he didn't telegraph it at all.
No, he just flared out at the last moment. That was superb and made it stick to the inside. A big smile in that helmet right now. He's enjoying things that you'd have to believe.
Oh, no question. Now, Buford, is he close enough to do anything? You get tucked in behind that Aston Martin and get a bit of a tow, but not enough.
The key is going to be in the last 10 minutes. Can Derek DeBoer keep the tires underneath that Aston? He's certainly got it dancing around a little bit. That Sin looks to be a bit more balanced right now. Oh, Derek can roll some speed through turn 3, that's for sure.
I mean, that leads into one of the fastest sections of this track, the Moraine Sweep. So, you know, people think about the great corners here, but in terms of important corners, 3's one of them.
It really is. You're in that corner. You loaded the car for quite some time. You think it's a very short sector corner, but it isn't. And if you can roll speed through the center without sort of like having to come out of the gas on the exit, that's going to showcase itself at the end of the straightaway as well. So
There's Scott Heckert in that 54 we just talked about, has uncorked some awfully quick laps at a 2:19.4 last time by. That's fast lap of the race. He's starting to close right back up in the back of Courtney, who's starting to give Ernie Francis a mirror full of Maserati.
Just wondering whether Jake Buford is just really trying to manage this race right now. He's a savvy young driver, got a lot of experience now. He's always shown speed in terms of poles in any championship that he's run in. And now he's turning that sort of speed into race wins by just being really smart in terms of handling the race.
Problem is looking in that mirror, Martin Barkey looks to be really on form here.
Coming off a podium at Lime Rock Park, so he's been in this position before, so he knows what it's like to be in the top three. And now he's getting a taste for a bit more.
Interesting how you watch that line. Barkey runs through that sort of no-name left-hander there, and he's trying to set it up. Buford, for a moment there, got a great exit out of Canada corner, but wasn't able to do anything with it.
I think Buford's patience may be tested by the man behind him, pushing him maybe a little bit sooner than he wants to go in this race.
Dolehite, very, very methodically, has gained back a couple of those car lengths he lost with that exchange with Barkey. Sandberg with him.
A lot of guys dipping into the 19 range. Jeff Courtney just laid down a 2:19.7. That will put him in the top 5 of tomorrow's race in terms of grid position.
Courtney said, this car is really, really good here. He and Ernie Francis side by side down into the braking zone of 1. Courtney going to try and park it around the outside.
Ernie gives him some room.
He did.
He had to work hard.
Side by side down into 3. This one's a little tougher to do that.
See if Hecker can get a run on these two. Great racing throughout the field. Everyone being very clean, giving each other a little bit of racing room, which is all about.
Yeah, this is for 7th. Courtney again looks to the inside. Hecker trying to figure out who to go with, and then says, well, I'm just going to try and go around the outside here.
Well, he got a beautiful draft there from both cars, but not sure if he's going to have any room there to make the move stick before turn 6. Runs a little bit wide. They've been really on top of the track limits here this weekend, particularly in qualifying. If you ran afoul of that, you would get your fast time kicked out in the race. And I think they're going to give the guys a little bit more leeway, particularly if there's no real advantage. I mean, Heckert ran wide there on the exit of turn 5, but wasn't able to gain position or any track time compared to his competitors. So they'll leave that one alone.
Well, some of it is if you're on the outside and the guy you're on the outside of tracks all the way out, they've got to give you that opportunity as well here.
Watch Barkey. He's got a run. He's got a big run there. I don't think he's got enough time to get the move done by the King, unfortunately, because he had more exit speed out of the carousel for sure. His car is really hooked up.
This is where he's been kind of cagey. He swings way out here, trying to get somebody to take the bait. Buford didn't go for it. Now, here we go. Sandberg to the inside, and Dolehite turns in a little bit early, and Sandberg had to give it up.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'd like to see from Scott Dolehite. I mean, he took that inside line away from Sandberg. I think he just, I mean, no disrespect, I think he just needs to get a little bit feistier in the race car.
Sandberg, though, just set fast lap of the race last time by. Cal at a 2:19.3, 8.9.
What a battle this is. Fun to watch.
Into the final 20 minutes.
Dolehite gets a run. Barkey chooses the right-hand lane. Makes him go the long way around. Can he clear him before he gets to turn 1?
Did.
Barkey comes back at him.
And Sandberg might just get a huge stonking run down into 3 here, possibly.
I'm liking what I'm seeing from Scott Dolehite here the last couple of laps. Making him more of a statement with his competitors in terms of, oh, now he runs a little bit wide. Didn't get good exit speed off of 3. Barkey and Sandberg will have a run on him now. Dolehite has to choose the inside lane.
Boy, look at how close this is.
Yeah, Dolehite really got poor exit speed there off of turn 3. You could see it.
First time I've seen this side of you, Cal. I'm liking these. A bit more evil. Ooh, Barkey wide. That's going to be
Sandberg's going to get
Sandberg.
a run. He's going to get to the inside.
Barkey going to fight him all the way around, Cal.
He's probably going to go side by side again. No, Sandberg just clears him by turn 7. Let's see what he can do with Scott Dolehite now. Dollarhide just needs to get the bit between his teeth and go chase down Jake Buford. I think his car, and he has the speed here enough to win this race. But certainly the leaders have gapped these guys the way they've been battling a little bit.
And the other question is DeBoer, I mean, that's one of these GTS sort of rule cars with a V8, carries a bit more weight than these other cars, and we have watched. He's been dancing on the edge, and these Pirelli P0s are phenomenal tires, but
I'm still liking what I'm seeing from Jake Buford, though. The car has shown great balance, isn't moving around a lot. He's not having to wring its neck and work quite as much as Derek, as you can see him there. I mean, he is right on the edge in every brake zone, trying to wring every ounce out of that Aston Martin right now.
And Buford is just stuck. And it looks like Jade's able to stay with him very easily, as you said.
Still 17.5 minutes to go in this race, Greg, so there's long ways to go. I think Buford sees the pack behind him. Look at Sandberg again. He's gapped Barkey. I can't wait to hear from Sandberg after the race, because I really see an inconsistency in the performance here today, whether he's got some kind of issue in the race car he's dealing with.
Well, he's coming up on, well, Dollarhide's definitely made up some ground. Look at the battle behind us. Courtney and Ernie Francis are side by side again. Finally give it up.
Heckert's looking good here.
Yeah, he is.
On good pace, good lap times.
Right on the back now of Courtney as they come out of turn 3.
Sandberg now has fastest lap today. 6 for the season. That would be 7 for Brett Sandberg. He's had 5 poles, 6 fastest laps, but only 1 win.
Eckert going to try the outside again on Courtney, down into 5.
And I think he's maybe far enough along. Yeah, Courtney.
Sandberg, a big issue suddenly. Yeah. There's that inconsistency, isn't it?
I don't know if there's a gearbox issue or something going on, or he might have a tire issue. Or
see him
front.
Squirming suddenly.
Yeah. Well, it's a much bigger issue now.
Getting a report it might be damage to the right front. A problem there.
Just when it looked like there's going to be a big championship day for him.
Look at that.
Yep, something is broken. Sure if it was contact with another car or maybe using some curbs here. But either way, this is a devastating blow, because with the problems with Oschenbach, he will get no points here today. He will not do 50% of this motor race. So it's going to be a big potential for Sandberg to not only grab the lead, but by a long shot. And it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and it's not much time left in this one for the crew to be able to do much either. We'll see what they can. DeBoer.
Yep.
That was power oversteering.
Moment in the race. You got to keep those tires underneath you. That's what I'm liking, what I'm seeing from Jake Buford. It looks like his car is showing better balance here in this longer run. Eric's going to have to really earn this one, I think, here today. He's got 2 really fast cars behind him.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I mean, if his car goes off a little bit and he holds up Buford, that's exactly what you're talking about with Dollarhide. It's going to bring him right back into play. And 15 minutes exactly left here in round 11 of the GTS Championship for the Pirelli World Challenge at the Road America Grand Prix, presented by Cadillac. Still a tasty little battle, too, isn't it? Francis
great
6,
fights
Heckert,
all the way through this
Courtney.
field, Greg.
Oh, there is. It's wonderful. Look at Heckert now. Thought about it. Well, you're right. Ernie is quick hands, man. Every time he turns in, you can see him sawing at the wheel as Sandberg into the pits.
Can't seem to catch a break this year. A tremendous pace. 1 victory. Second in the points coming in. It will tighten up because Lawson will get 0 score. Brett has passed the 50% mark, so he should get some points here today. But it could have been a big swing.
Boy, and Ernie just parked Heckert just a little bit. And I thought the Kenda machine of Courtney might be able to just swing underneath. And Heckert sensed that and covered it. These guys are starting to catch Nate Stacey, too, so this could become a battle for 5th.
Nate Stacey's had a couple of little battles today, but he's pretty much solo there in terms of battles all the way around him. Curious to see up front whether, with no pressure on Dollarhide right now, whether he can just hit his marks and start to close in on that gap to the leaders.
So there you see it, the problems in both. That tells the story, doesn't it? The top two in the points sitting in pit lane. Damage to the suspensions on both cars.
I think the only thing they may be thinking about Lawson Aschenbach is not so much points, but maybe getting him out to lay down a lap.
Yes.
So he doesn't start at the very back of the field for tomorrow's race.
Oh, look at this. De Boer, I think the tires are starting to go.
Oh, Dollarhide. Big save. Everyone's pushing now beyond what the tire and the car wants to give them, as it is starting to heat up for the victory.
Oh, boy, look at this. Through 14. And that blanket's back, isn't it? Barkey, the back end, just stepping out a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think De Boer's pace will probably fade here a little bit with just under 13 minutes to go. This is going to get interesting.
Well, he set his best lap a while ago to 2:19.88.
Like the wheels have fallen off in terms of lap pace. I mean, 2:20.7 is only just 9/10 slower than his fastest lap of the race. But even so, he's got really quick cars who are maintaining pace right behind him. If Dollarhide can keep it clean, he's got speed. Buford has the experience. He's had race victories. Now he gets a run. Derek chooses the inside lane. It's going to be interesting when we get down to our stop tech brake zone.
And Barkey looking for an option. Dollarhide looking for an option. Aston Martin, Sin R1, Lotus, Crossbow.
Aston is impressive in the brake zone. You expect that Sin to really eat into that gap, and it doesn't do anything. If anything, Derek's braking a little bit deeper.
And guess what? Lawson Aschenbach back on track.
There we go. Let's see what sort of lap time he can do. He's going to have relatively fresh tires. So
yeah, he is.
Full fuel load, but fresh tires. See if he can lay one down. And that's what the great teams do. They just continue to keep grinding away and see what they can pull out of a bad day.
And we get a report from pit lane for Sandberg. The upper forward A-arm broke. That's the issue there, and Barkey just looking. Boy, does he get through the kink quick?
Yeah, he does. They've done a great job with the handling on that car here this weekend.
Here, right dead center as he gets up to Canada corner.
Oh, and he pinches it big time there. Buford
gets
a run. Yeah, Buford's got a run on him. It's going to get really tight through here, through 13. Really tight. Buford tries to go for it, but Derek still has the inside line for the final corner. Will it compromise his speed here? If Dollarhide can time it, he should get a good run as well.
He shallowed that entry big time, didn't he? Boy, Dollarhide should get a nice toe as well with those two guys side by side up the hill.
Yeah, Derek really compromised the exit speed of Canada corner and nearly worked against him. But right now, Buford has a run to the inside. Dollarhide's picking up the draft from the Aston Martin. Who's going to be last on the brakes? Derek has certainly showed his mettle so far today. He does it once again. Buford now, though, earlier on the power, coming through turn one. Can he dive to the inside? Look at Dollarhide. He takes the outside lane.
Well, Buford, again, that's a little shallow on the entry, and that might just give Dollarhide the run, but he's got to not run up right on the back of that Sin either. This is amazing stuff, Cal, as we are at 10 minutes.
Really impressed with Derek De Boer in terms of what he's doing here. He's not been in this position before in terms of fighting for a win at this level of competition. And he hasn't made any big mistakes.
Francis and Heckert. Heckert to the inside.
Nice move.
Yeah.
Ernie, of course, doesn't. Oh, there's Lawson. What happened there? He's off the race road. Did he just try to get out of the way of that battle?
I'm not sure.
But he got forced over there.
Ernie off.
Everyone's off.
It's because the tires are off just a little bit. These Pirelli P0s, you can run them hard, but eventually...
This has got the potential to get crazy here.
It certainly does.
Constant load. Aston's still pretty good through there. That's a good indicator.
Ooh!
Ziegler.
Bill Ziegler.
Good kit.
That's down at, is that the exit of 8?
Yes, it is, I think.
That's usually one of those Boy, that is a big one at this stage. He's way off to the side here.
This is going to give the win to Derek DeBoer. 8.5 minutes to go. If we get a full course yellow here, it's going to be a race to the stripe.
You can see the team looking, trying to figure out exactly what happened here.
Well, look at this. Sparky has got around Dollarhide for the third position, and we're going full course yellow. And there's a good chance it may end up this way.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way it won't here. See what happens here. Well, that's the exit to six. All right.
Just a little bit wide.
Yeah.
Right in front of Tony Gaples there. It wasn't so much wide. I think he just pinched it a little bit.
I think so.
Looking at that view. It's also hurt Lawson Oshenbach. He hasn't had time to lay down a fast lap.
No, he ran wide. They said, giving some room and ran wide, which dirtied the tires up a little bit. So he needed a couple of laps here.
Right now, Lawson Oshenbach will start 18th tomorrow.
Wow. That is
Championship leader having a bad weekend.
Yeah. Sandberg still has fast lap of the race, so at least he would start on the pole and has an opportunity here. But wow, what a huge swing in the point scenario here. So we're at 7 minutes remaining, and I don't see, Cal, how we get this thing cleared up that quick. I mean, the Road America safety team is the best in terms of getting incidences cleared, but
could be a huge day for Derek DeBoer.
Wow.
He's doing a great job withstanding the pressure as the tires start to go away. He was getting pretty innovative with his lines.
Yep.
But holds the point as we go into yellow.
Remember when we were starting to talk about their new plan, one of the reasons Derek was here was, he said, I needed to, this track, I needed to get both races in because I'm not that familiar with it. Well, he's a quick study.
He really is.
Here's some good news, seeing Bill get out of the car after that hit.
Right now, I think it's going to be a crossbow front row tomorrow. Sandberg has the fastest lap at 2:19.389. I think the next one up is Barkey at 2:19.423. Eggert at 19.425.
So this is a Muck Daddy cleanup moment right here, and Bill out of the car talking to the Road America safety team.
Great to see Bill back in the championship. Been a big supporter of World Challenge over the seasons.
And they get Sandberg's car fixed. He doesn't really need to worry about getting a fast lap. I think he just is. One, I think it's a great idea to get out and see if the fix took. At least, this is almost like a hardship lap at this point, isn't it?
And right now it's going to be really tight. Sandberg listed in the 16th position. And if he gets the pole position, I think that'll give him a 1-point lead over Oshenbach, who scores 0 today. So even though Sandberg is listed as 16th, Oshenbach is 17th, right. Lawson hasn't done the 50% to get points.
Right.
So it's still a big swing. So unofficially, if he can maintain the fast lap of the day, which it should be, with his running under yellow potentially to the finish, that would give him a 1-point advantage going into the race tomorrow.
That close.
But it could have been so much more.
Right, right. We have some specialty awards that we always present here, and I don't know. One of them is that Cadillac ATSV move of the race, and I'll tell you, that pass that Barkey laid on a bit earlier, that was pretty
tasty.
move, wasn't it?
That was beautiful, yeah.
So that might be our candidate for that one.
Typically, when you see that move coming, it's normally followed by tires being locked up, and he just controlled it beautifully and got down to the inside.
Yeah, it's on the 46 Lotus of Dollarhide, and it was a beauty. And then, we've also got the Motor Trend On Demand Clean Pass of the Race Award, and we saw Derek DeBoer in that one move go in super late. We thought the same thing, that one might end up with a little bit of a moment, and he was able to execute that one as we now have, 3:45 left.
He's got enough gas in the tank. I think Derek's going to be seeing victory here today.
Yeah, I don't see how he won't. And of course, we'll wait for scoring has to give us the official update on our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award winner. And we have one called the Kia Turning Point, and I don't think there's any question. It was Lawson Aschenbach driving into the gravel, the point leader.
Still not sure how the suspension issue came about on both our championship leaders, actually, both for Lawson with the rear suspension issue and with Brett with the front.
Well, we have seen with the GT4 cars, they run a lot closer to the ground. They're a little bit more fragile, and just hitting curbs too hard or bouncing over rumble strips can be a problem. But for Aschenbach, that's
yeah, we didn't see any here. It looked really close between he and Sandberg when we looked at the replay down in the brake zone for turn 5 on that opening lap. I don't think there was a touch there, so maybe there's another rub somewhere else.
Turn to the gallery here. Any ideas? Okay. And speaking of hardship laps, that's just queued up to be able to go out once the session ends, just to get a lap in one of our GT competitor machines. But 2 minutes now left in this one, and again, that cleanup still continuing. So I think this one might well and truly be done. And there are people that are going to, obviously you'll say, yeah, but could Derek have held on? Buford was coming and all that, but he drove a brilliant race. Derek did.
He did, and it's different, Greg. I mean, when you run in at this level of competition and suddenly you're in the fight for the win. I mean, he didn't have the ultimate pressure with the last lap or two by this
Exactly.
yellow, but even so, knowing that you're coming down to the wire with less than 10 minutes on the board, he was doing a great job and maintaining his composure very well.
Now, just we're informed by race control, yellow it will be to the finish, so that's how it's going to end. But, yeah, interesting. I mean, Derek DeBoer, that BRM chronographs and rebounders, which happens to be trampoline parks. That's a chain of trampoline parks. Nice to have him be able to come through and put this one together. Jade Buford from pole. And who knows what may have happened. But, boy, I'll tell you, that battle, particularly for those that top 5 group when it's still included, certainly Brett Sandberg was some of the best racing we have seen. There's Parker Chase. Had his moment early, was able to get back out and work his way back into a top 15 position. And Mark Clennon, who we had talked about, was laid back a lot in this race and eventually was able to, with some of these developments, make his way up into the top 10. And the Cadillac ATS VR. We're getting a report the checker will come out this time by, even if the clock hasn't quite gone through, but I think it will be. I think they're slowing it down to make sure it happens. So DeBoer, Buford, and Barkey on the podium. And Scott Dullahite, I'll tell you, I think he had something left too.
He did, yeah. I think if this thing had gone full distance, both he and Buford may have had something for Derek DeBoer, but it doesn't matter now.
Nope.
That's why sometimes you just got to get to the front and just try and hold these guys off, which Derek was doing a great job of. Great run for Anthony Mantella as well, up in the top 10 and dipped down in the high 219 range. That's a great performance.
That's a great lap, yeah. I mean, for both he and his teammate Barkey in the top 10, that's a great day for Mantella Autosport. And here we go, field out of 14, led to the finish by the pace car. And Derek DeBoer and the Racers Group, Aston Martin, will take the GTS win here at round 11 at Road America for the Pirelli World Challenge. Road America Grand Prix presented by Cadillac, with the Racer's Edge Sin R1 GT4 machine, the number 45 at Jade Buford in second, and Martin Barkey in the number 80. Mantella Autosport KTM Crossbow, MBRP Sport Lab, and Sawmill Creative supported the car, and that is one happy Racers group.
You could see Derek in the car there. He was fired up.
He was, at the autograph session, he was saying, I think we got something. I think we got something.
I think he may have a glass of Kevin's Finest tonight.
I think he might. And, yeah, we know there's going to be a little gathering with some of the Racers Group team, and I think that level of enjoyment might have just intensified a smidge.
Yeah, it should be a fun night for that whole group.
Yeah. Nice job by Derek DeBoer. What a drive. I mean, was working that car furiously that entire race. I mean, it wasn't like the thing was just stuck and he was along for the ride.
He was committed. I mean, the car was working well, and he was really committed into the brake zones and rolling good speed. Looked like the tires are maybe starting to get away from him a little bit, but even so, just kept the car at the front.
All right, as we're about to wrap things up here on our global webcast, just to take you through the results once again, Derek DeBoer in the Aston Martin from Racers Group gets the win. Buford in the Sin R1 GT4 and Barkey in the KTM Crossbow complete the podium. Dolahite in that beautiful Lotus fourth, and Nate Stacy in the Mustang. Very impressive fifth for the 16-year-old. Scott Heckert in the team Sin R1 GT4 will be sixth. Ernie Francis Jr., a good scrappy day for that young man as well, up to seventh. Jeff Courtney eighth. Anthony Mantella in the team entry to Martin Barkey from Mantella Autosport, the Gulf KTM Crossbow, and Mark Clennon in that Maserati Gran Turismo MC Trofeo. Just a good day for him in that Champ Premier Copy. And Mike Ward Maserati entry. Gaples, Kurtz, Gottsacker, Parker Chase, and Bill Ziegler still shown in that 15th place even with the incident. And the big story, Sandberg and Aschenbach. You see them at the back, boy. With Sandberg setting fast laps, starting on pole, and I think you said Aschenbach's going to start a lot farther back than that. It is going to be an interesting swing in terms of the points. Thanks so much for joining us here on our global web feed, Cal. Pleasure as always, and enjoy working with you. And we got a lot more of it tomorrow. Remember, folks, we got the final two races of this weekend coming up tomorrow. Start late in the morning with our GT race, so don't miss that one. And then at the end of the day, it is GTS racing to bring us home. So thanks so much for joining us. Whatever you do tonight, have a great time and do it safely, and we'll see you tomorrow.